In 2008, Matthew Haag was a fairly typical 15-year-old. He attended school, but was far more interested in his main hobby outside of the classroom, playing video games. He played for an average of 8 to 10 hours every single day, and when he wasn't in the classroom, it's fair to assume that he was gaming. But this was problematic for his mom. She was worried that his obsession with gaming would ruin his work ethic, so she made him go get a job, and Haag was soon working at McDonald's. But fast forward 15 years, and Matthew "Nadeshot" Haag is now the founder and CEO of a company worth more than $460 million. He has a team of hundreds of employees, and his company has received financial backing from some of the world's smartest and best investors across technology, entertainment, and sports. So how exactly does a teenager go from flipping burgers to running a multi-million-dollar company in just over a decade? This is the story of how Matthew "Nadeshot" Haag transformed the esports industry. Esports was still a small industry in the late 2000s. There were competitions taking place and world championships were being handed out, but it was still far from mainstream, and not many people were actually making a living by playing video games full time. But there were still a few professional esports organizations, and after winning some local gaming tournaments in 2010, Matthew Haag caught the attention of Hector Rodriguez, the head of Optic Gaming. This might feel like a small step in the process, but it's where his life changed forever. Nadeshot went on to become captain of Optic Gaming and helped his team win the Call of Duty World Championship in Los Angeles. That came with a $400,000 prize, but more importantly, it proved to the people around him that you could actually make money as a professional gamer. Nadeshot's passion then quickly became his full-time job, and his profile began to grow after he doubled down on gaming following the death of his mom in 2012. He was streaming 6 to 8 hours each day. He posted one vlog every day online for a year, and the size of his online audience exploded in 2013 following the release of Black Ops 2. This brought accolades, notoriety, and money. For example, by 2015, Nadeshot was reportedly making over $1 million annually and was considered one of the best gamers in the world. But then he did the unthinkable. Nadeshot quit gaming, and for the next 2 years, he solely focused on creating online content full time. But still, he kept coming back to one idea. What if he could build a company that merged all of his passions and brought the worlds of esports, YouTube, and streaming together? That's when 100 Thieves was born. Nadeshot described 100 Thieves as a creative outlet for his entrepreneurial passions. But the truth was that he was entering an industry at a time when esports was growing and the space was becoming extremely competitive. And so in the first year, 100 Thieves didn't even look towards gaming. Instead, they focused solely on apparel, as Nadeshot didn't have the financial resources to really be competitive in the esports space. But in November 2017, that all changed. Cleveland Cavaliers owner and Quicken Loans chairman Dan Gilbert met Nadeshot and gave him a $10 million investment to become a co-owner of the organization. This completely changed the direction of the company. With Dan Gilbert now on board, he provided the necessary capital to compete, and 100 Thieves joined the League of Legends Championship Series almost immediately. And over the next year, the organization launched other teams, competing in games including Fortnite and Valorant, and they began to expand in areas beyond just apparel and esports. Knowing firsthand the value of building a loyal following that could be leveraged further down the line, 100 Thieves began to strategically focus on content creation. Nadeshot even hired a professional content team to document 100 Thieves gamers and produce podcasts, documentaries, and vlogs. The company was pumping out content on every platform, and as the content got better and their social accounts kept growing, more and more sponsors came calling. Within a few years, 100 Thieves has signed sponsorship deals with companies like Red Bull, Lexus, Rockstar, AT&T, Chipotle, StockX, and many more. These companies knew that traditional marketing campaigns or performance marketing were no longer the route to their potential customers. And as 100 Thieves kept growing, they became an increasingly attractive prospect for companies to work with. And suddenly, sponsorship revenue became a core part of their business model. But with the business continuing to expand, that meant they needed more capital for growth. So in 2018, after the initial investment from Dan Gilbert, 100 Thieves raised an additional $25 million in Series A funding. But here's the interesting part. Multi-award-winning rapper Drake and music executive and talent manager Scooter Braun led the investment round and therefore became co-owners of the 100 Thieves brand. So the company's board meetings now consisted of Nadeshot, Dan Gilbert, Drake, and Scooter Braun. That's certainly not bad for a former McDonald's cashier. But it wasn't just sponsorships that were growing for the company. The esports industry was beginning to show investors why they were so excited about the future of gaming. There had already been a significant increase in esports viewers since 2016, and between 2018 and 2019, there was an additional 12.3% year-over-year increase. And once you add in the fact that average revenue increased more than 30% annually from 2016 to 2018, it was becoming increasingly obvious why investors were interested in companies like 100 Thieves. And so the investments didn't stop there. 100 Thieves returned to the venture market in 2019 and continued its incredible growth with a $35 million Series B funding round, led by Artist Capital Management, that valued the company at $160 million. They used this capital to double down on growth, and by 2020, the content team had tripled in size. The apparel business was exploding, routinely selling $500,000 worth of merchandise in just minutes. And the company had all been brought under one roof with the opening of their 15,000 square foot 100 Thieves Cash App compound. So with gaming, content creating, and apparel each making up approximately 1/3 of the company's revenue, COO John Robinson described 100 Thieves as a little bit like the Lakers, a little bit like Barstool Sports, and a little bit like Supreme. This diversified model certainly seemed to be working, because just 2 years later, 100 Thieves needed even more money. So they raised a $60 million Series C funding round led by Green Bay Ventures at a $460 million valuation. That brought their total funding to $130 million. It made them one of the world's most valuable esports organizations, and it only further accelerated their growth. According to COO John Robinson, 100 Thieves has doubled their revenues each of the past several years, and it's estimated that they brought in roughly $40 million in revenue last year alone across their esports, apparel, and entertainment verticals. They now have a 23-person content team that focuses solely on Twitch streaming, making YouTube videos, recording podcasts, and interacting with 100 Thieves fans on social media. This concentration on content means that the organization now has a huge online following, with over 1 million followers on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and unsurprisingly, Twitch, where over 17 million people follow the brand. In fact, the company has gotten so large that they even recently made their first acquisition, buying gaming peripheral company High Ground. So while some might still see 100 Thieves as purely a gaming company, it would be foolish to ignore the talent and ingenuity behind the success of the company. Nadeshot was not only one of the greatest gamers of his generation, but he was able to think beyond himself, see a bigger vision, and build the brand that has become 100 Thieves today. He now serves as the company's CEO, heads 100 Thieves creative, brand, and strategic direction, and is on the company's board of directors. But broadly speaking, the 100 Thieves story shows that the generational shift between traditional sports and esports can no longer be ignored. Esports and influencer-led organizations are changing the way consumers act, the way legacy brands advertise, and flipping the entire business model of traditional sports on its head, while bringing revenue and people over to esports. In their Global Entertainment and Media Outlook report, global accounting firm PwC predicted that esports revenue would reach $516 million in the US alone by 2023, with the wider esports industry forecasted to grow to more than $1.64 billion by 2024. Of course, one of the reasons for this growth is simply that more people are watching. Gaming data from Newzoo suggests that the global esports audience will reach 532 million by the end of 2022, and will continue to grow to 640 million by 2025. And following the recent investment, 100 Thieves is perfectly positioned to take advantage of this growth and continue to expand even further.